playoff run. Red Hot Braves in town after completing a sweep in Philly, running their win streak to 10. Steven Strasburg on the mound in Game 1 with a chance to get his team a little closer to its goal. Good to be back home. The defending East Division champions trying to keep the Braves from becoming the next ones. The Nats have a tall order 3-game series against a ball club playing really well, 12.5 games out. Welcome to Nationals Park. FP here in just a moment. You know, for a couple of months this season, the mantra around the National League East was, hey, the Braves aren't doing anything to separate themselves from the rest of the division. Well, now they are. And since these two teams last met at the end of May, the Braves have just taken off like crazy. We mentioned the 10-game winning streak. They're hitting about 300 over the last couple of weeks. And who's going to step up and challenge them? The Nats would appear to be the best candidates in the division to do just that. But, FP, some guys are going to have to step up and be bigger than they've been so far this season.
Well, you would think the Nats are going to go on a streak. It's just a matter of time, and now is the time. And you talk about a big series against the team in front of you. You got 12.5 games back, but in big games, big-time players step up. There's a certain responsibility that veteran guys have in the middle of an order to lead in series like this. So, you know, Adam LaRoche, Ryan Zimmerman, and Jason Worth out tonight. Those are guys I'm looking at in this series to have a big series if they're going to beat the Braves.
All right, let's talk about the pitchers. Two good young right-hander. Well, one's a righty, one's a lefty. And Steven Strasburg certainly deserves better than what his ERA, especially at home, has gotten him this year.
Yeah, fourth in the National League with a 1.68 ERA, including 4 starts with no earned runs here at Nats Park. So he likes the white uni, and he also likes pitching against the Atlanta Braves. It's a strikeout team. When we talk about Mike Minor, this is a guy that has Cy Young type numbers, really grown up for this Braves staff, and he's a guy that'll pound the strike zone with his fastball, throw the off speed at any time. And I think he's emerged as the Braves' ace. So a couple of aces going at it here tonight in Game 1.
Even though they're pretty far apart in the standings, these ball clubs share one common trait. It's a 7-inning game because each one has an outstanding 8th-inning and 9th-inning guy.
Yeah, I mean, you don't want to face Craig Kimbrell ever if you're the Nationals. But, yeah, you got to get some runs early. I think I was listening to Ray in the pregame show. You got to score early. Whoever scores first in these 3 games is going to have a distinct advantage. And you always want to send a message to the Braves, even if you are 12.5 back, that you're not going away.
Yeah, and maybe more than one run early helps as well. Braves swinging the bats well. So these are two teams that know each other so well. They've already met 10 times this year, and the Braves have won 7 of those 10, including 3 here back in April. But there are 9 more games between the Nats and Atlanta this year. Tonight, the first step toward what could be a long road back. Wilson, brought to you by PNC Bank. For the achiever in you. By 5 Hour Energy. And by Outback Steakhouse. It's always fresh in the Outback. Well, number 37 smiling before the game. Let's hope Steven is all smiles a couple hours from right now. The Nats taking on the Atlanta Braves. Chain celebrating its 100th anniversary by offering irresistible financing. It's hard to stop a train, but really hard. Humidity way down. It is quite comfortable. Mostly cloudy overhead, but an outstanding 78 degrees at Nationals Park, where the boys are 31 and 25 on the year. Braves lineup, and Dan Uggla always the number one matchup. 11 hits, a couple of home runs against Strasburg, but he's also been struck out 9 times by Steven as well. But Uggla seems to be the one guy in the Atlanta lineup that gives him problems. But Justin Upton, Freddie Freeman, Brian McCann, and Chris Johnson all hitting for high average lately. Steven has his work cut out for him. 3-4 career against Atlanta, his 11th start against the Braves.
Yeah, last time out, pitched very well in the Nats' 5-1 loss at Detroit. A 2-1 pitch to Alex Avila. The grand slam was a difference. All in all, gave up 5 runs on 6 hits over 7. Struck out 7, walked 3 through 98 pitches. So fastball, curveball, change. Fastball averaging 95 miles an hour. Set the defense for the Nats tonight. Check out the outfield. Jason Worth, a late scratch with the groin. So you go Lombardozzi, Harper, Hairston in the outfield. And the infield the same as it always is, with Wilson Ramos behind the dish.
Scott Hairston doesn't start much. This will be his 12th game for the Nats. And the umpiring crew. First of all, behind the plate, 6-year veteran Rob Drake. Joe West, the crew chief, 36 years at first. 13-year man Sam Holbrook at second. Adam Hamari, rookie umpire, third base. First pitch of the game, high riding fastball. Hayward trying to jump all over it. Underway with strike 1 at 7:07. Kind of unusual to see a guy like this leading off, but the Nats have Bryce Harper, guys who can run and hit for power, leading off for both teams.
Man, last 8 games he's hit leadoff, and he's hitting .355, 11 for his last 31, so the bat's heating up.
Fastball up. Hayward taking a couple of really hard swings. And if you go back 50 games now, Jason Hayward is hitting almost .290. Shows you what a slow start he got off to. He's had some pretty good numbers against Steven Strasburg himself. That fastball is upstairs. 7 for 15 with a couple of walks. So he was trying to go early ambush on Steven. Braves as a team hitting .253, 6th in the league. They're second to St. Louis in runs, and they lead the National League in home runs with 136. Counts 2-2. Nasty breaking ball, and Hayward ID'd it pretty well.
All right, pretty good take, and if you're Jason Hayward right now, you're betting 3-2 fastball. Doesn't mean you're getting one, but that's exactly what you're thinking.
Justin Upton, 8th in the league in home runs, is next. Got him on the hands. LaRoche boots it, loses the play at first. Adam LaRoche, 7th error of the year, and you hardly ever see something like that happen.
Well, not the way the Nationals want to start this big game series against the Atlanta Braves. A routine ground ball to Adam LaRoche. And a routine ground ball, usually every bit of routine to LaRoche. Boots that one, and the Braves have their leadoff hitter aboard.
That'll bring in Justin Upton, hitting .322 over his last 21 games.
And it's a ball club with this lineup that takes advantage of opportunity. When you talk about how good they've been this year, NL's best bullpen. Pretty much solid everywhere. They hit home runs. They catch the baseball. They get contributions from everybody, including their bench. It's a ball club that you definitely can't give extra outs to.
Good breaking ball. 0-2 to Justin Upton, hitting .260. By the way, the Braves' run differential is amazing. They've scored 509. They've given up 393. That's 116 on the plus side. Oh, 2.
Well, that's how you get to 22 games over 500. But when you talk about this 10-game winning streak they're in the middle of, this is a team that's been hovering around 10 games over all year long. They just got hot. And Freddie Gonzalez doing a nice job of taking over for, what was that guy's name? Bobby Cox?
Yeah.
Something like that?
Yeah. He was there for a while. Inside the numbers with STG Inc. Last 10 games, look at that. Winning by an average of 4 runs a game, hitting almost 300. ERA outstanding. They're 3.28. Only the Pirates are lower in the National League. Strasburg misses outside 2-2.
Of course, I'm joking about Bobby Cox. I think, my personal opinion, the best manager in the history of baseball. That's what I think of Bobby Cox.
Big breaker for the strikeout. Upton, 116 Ks on the year. The Braves have 3 of the top 7 strikeout guys in the league in their lineup.
Yeah, how about that hammer right there? You look at the rotation, the spin on it, the late break, 80 miles an hour. And Justin Upton had none chance, and I don't think too many right-handed hitters in baseball would.
Next up, Freddie Freeman, 5 for 13 against Strasburg.
Well, you see the game plan, especially by the left-handers. Get that first fastball and put it in play. At least try to.
Yeah. Freeman's on an 8-game hitting streak with 13 base hits. His back foot obliterating the back line of the batter's box here. Ramos sets up inside. Freeman turns on it, but hooks it 3 or 4 feet foul.
And just such a quick bat on the inner half. 96 miles an hour. Dropped the head on it. Just foul.
And first inning's been a bit of an issue for Strasburg. So that's 14 of the 53 runs he's allowed total all year. 0-2 pitch. Got him. Change up away. 2 Ks after the error. Freddie Freeman rung up.
So curveball for strike 3 to Justin Upton, check. And a changeup for strike 3 to Freddie Freeman, check. And the fastball has been good at 96 miles an hour. So Steven Strasburg trying to pitch around the Adam LaRoche error. Strikes out a couple of Braves.
Yeah, 2 of their best, and here's Brian McCann. He's warmed things up. Hit 337 in July. And 348 in his last 29 games. He has 6 career hits with a home run against the Nats right-hander, who's throwing the ball well here. Drops a first pitch breaking ball on the left-handed batter.
And a couple of lefties swinging a first pitch fastball. He drops him off speed in there. Jason Hayward, 2 stolen bases, been caught 4 times. If you watch his lead, watch how low he gets. For a big guy, it's going to take a while for him to get to top speed from that position.
That's a swing, says Adam Hamari, the rookie umpire down at third. Rob Drake looked at him for the appeal.
We check a swing at third base, and he goes. That's Hamari.
Oh, 2. And the changeup. One of only 3 games in the league on this Monday. Dodgers at St. Louis starting a big series. Brewers, after playing the Nats yesterday, flew to San Francisco, where the Giants have been struggling. And a 1-2 is fouled off to the left side.
I guess the point I'm trying to make on Jason Hayward at first base, usually with bigger guys, you like him to be a little bit more upright. When you're that crouched, in your lead, it takes a minute, a click to get up out of that crouch and to get to top speed. You usually see bigger guys kind of almost in like a tailback stance where they're not so low, but being that low and being that tall, it's tough to get going. It takes a second, and maybe that's why he's been caught 4 times. And obviously he's been banged up a little bit this year, but you would think he'd have better numbers because he can fly.
Listed at 6'5", 240. Strasburg. Wow. He was 5 or 6 steps toward the dugout, and Rob Drake just looked at that one, and Wilson Ramos is talking about it with the umpire.
Never seen Steven Strasburg go that far off the mound, and it almost looked like Wilson Ramos didn't know what to do. He thought it was strike 3, convinced it was, had to put on the brakes and get back up on the hill. Pretty good pitch.
He's around the plate here in the early going. On a pitch down, it's fouled.
McCann hot. 39 for his last 112, 9 home runs, 27 RBIs, 348 average.
He can hit.
He can hit.
He's had at least 15 home runs in his last 8 seasons. And a 2-2 to McCann. Upstairs, fouled straight back. Outfield deep. Breaking ball of beauty. Strasburg strikes out the side. How's that for pitching around a leadoff error? So Justin Upton, number 2 hitter, gone on a big breaker. Freddie Freeman, the changeup. Brian McCann, breaking ball. See ya. Come the Nats. Lineup brought to you by Mazda. We believe if it's not worth driving, it's not worth building. Ian Desmond, 282 against the Braves this year, but doing some serious slugging. So look at the lineup. Desmond second. Ramos, 5th time in his career in the number 4 spot. He was to bat 6th, and Worth was going to lead off. And then when Jason couldn't answer the bell, Lombardozzi put in the number 7 spot in left field. That moved Scott Hairston over to right. You got all that? Here's Mike Minor. He has started 6 games against the Nats. Career 3-2 with a 4.5 ERA.
Yeah, last time out against the Rockies, he was good. 7 shutout innings, gave up just 2 hits, struck out 6, walked nobody on 95 pitches. And the last start, his fastball averaging 91 miles an hour. He's a guy that'll move that fastball around. He'll cut it into righties. Mixes things up nice, not afraid to throw his off speed in any count.
He's about 8 months older than Steven Strasburg, so he's 25 right now. First rounder back in 09, 7th overall player taken. And a good breaking ball to Bryce Harper on the corner. 09 at Vanderbilt. Same draft as Steven Strasburg. Mike Minor was an All-American. Harper waits for the breaking ball. Backhand play. Freddie Freeman, who's a very good defensive first baseman. That's the first out.
I'll show you the defense for the Braves tonight. Behind Mike Minor, Upton, Hayward, your outfield. Justin in left, BJ in center. Simmons, Johnson left side, Ugla, Freeman right side, and Brian McCann behind the plate.
Braves ranked 6th in the league in defensive numbers. Ian Desmond, 5 for 15 career against Mike Minor.
I thought so. Mike Minor went slider, curve to open this game up to Bryce Harper. First pitch slider, second pitch slider. Didn't do a whole lot, but threw him 3 off-speed pitches. You don't see that very often.
And it goes off-speed to Desmond outside, 2-0. Well, if you heard that conversation Ray Knight had during the Mid-Atlantic Sports Report today, with the guys back in the studio, they will pitch you a lot differently your second year from how they did your first year. I think Ray said he hit 318 his rookie year, then 250 or 260 something the second year, because he wasn't seeing the same fastballs and sequences he did as a rookie. So Desmond walks for the 34th time this year, and the Nats have a runner with 1 out. Ryan Zimmerman coming on. I know your first full year in the big leagues, you challenged for Rookie of the Year. What differences did you notice the following year?
Well, not a whole lot, really, other than the league knows you better. They kind of know all of your tendencies and when you like to swing. There's a lot more data on you. I still think it's just like being a rookie. You have to adjust series to series, month to month, and even in your second year.
And Ryan's always hit Atlanta pitching well. He's hit all pitching well lately. 333 in his last 11 games. This one in the air to right. Jason Hayward, long run to get over to the line, and that's still a fair ball when he makes the grab. 2 outs. Wilson Ramos in the cleanup spot tonight. 310, 18 RBIs his last 20 games.
I like seeing Wilson Ramos hitting in the first inning. When he's been swinging the bat, he just looks like a cleanup hitter.
Yeah, we were talking in Milwaukee that this guy will be hitting higher up in the lineup someday. We didn't know it meant tomorrow.
Yeah.
And even at that, even with Worth in the lineup, Davey had bumped him up to number 6 tonight.
I talked to Jason before the game. He kind of pushed it yesterday, asked him to get in there, and he said it felt a little more tight today. Came out of yesterday's game, and he felt like if he played tonight, it was going to go. Gave it a run in batting practice, ran around a little bit, then was scratched from the lineup.
He's been busy running the bases lately, 3 times on yesterday.
He wanted to be in there, trust me.
Oh, don't you know?
Well, you still got a little Milwaukee left in you, don't you?
Hey? He was 7 for 10 in that series up there. And, of course, Jason Worth chosen or announced today as Player of the Month. 367, led the league in RBIs. The slugging, the on-base percentage. How about that? First national position player named.
That's great. He went from Player of the Week in the Carolina League on his rehab to Player of the Month in the National League.
Ramos, right center. That ball's going to fall. And Ian Desmond can keep on running. Wilson Ramos blooping one to set up a corner situation with 2 outs.
Now there goes a no-hitter. First inning, Wilson Ramos batting 4th. Welcome to the cleanup slot. Does a nice job of keeping his hands inside the baseball, working the ball to the big part of the ballpark. The national hitters tonight are looking to use the middle of the park, be aggressive early in the count. Because when you face a guy like Mike Minor, He's a guy that's going to throw a lot of strikes, so not a whole lot to wait around for tonight. Good piece of hitting by Wilson.
Adam LaRoche hit .268 with 11 homers against left-handers last year. Been more of a struggle for him this time around. He's 1 for 6, pair of walks career against Minor. With runners at the corners, the Braves don't shift much. Ugla, though, second baseman in a rank pull position. Heels to the grass on the right side of the infield. LaRoche, Brave, 04 to 06. Hit .278, .259, .285 as a Brave, and using somebody else's bat, hitting home runs in Milwaukee.
Yeah, a couple of home runs the last 2 games, so starting to heat up. When you talk about the first inning that Steven Strasburg just had against the Braves with those 3 strikeouts, he scored here, it's huge.
2 RBIs away from 50. That's evens the count. 1 ball, 1 strike. Same pitch, 2-1. Ian Desmond walked with 1 out after Zimmerman flew to right. Moved to third on the Ramos flare to right center. Way outside, it bounced way in front of McCann. That looked like a breaking ball that might have come back on reverse spin so the catcher could handle it.
Well, what a block by Brian McCann to save a run. I mean, that ball got him right in the left armpit, kept it in front, kept Ian Desmond at third.
3-1 to LaRoche. That's a base hit to right center. The Nats are on top. Ramos heading for third. Trent Jewett's going to send him. Here comes the relay, and the Buffalo tries to score. He's out.
Boy, it took a perfect relay, too, and it's not a bad send by Trent Jewett. Clutch hit by LaRoche. But what a throw on the relay, right on the money. And look at the Buffalo rumbling around third. Great tag by McCann to get the foot before it hits home. To nothing, but I want you to watch the relay play by the Braves, textbook style. Jason Hayward gets rid of it quick. And as an outfielder, sometimes you aim for the second guy on the double cutoff, and he just got rid of it right to Andrelton Simmons, who has a bigger arm than Ugla. Gets rid of it quick, right on the money, so it had to be perfect to get Ramos. So a good send by Trent Jewett. And you're watching Ramos hustling around third base, but the play was made, number 1, by Hayward getting rid of it quick. And number 2, a perfect throw from Simmons to Brian McCann to just get the hustling Wilson Ramos. Serious action here early. Love it.
Kurt Suzuki says, take a breather, big fella. You know, from that replay, Wilson Ramos got around the bases pretty well. I mean, he is so big, so strong. I thought he's moving around pretty good there.
Well, Trent Jewett had no choice but to send him. I mean, you can't stop a Buffalo when it's going that fast. You just got to keep going.
Top of the second, Chris Johnson brushed back. And Strasburg in there with a 96-mile-an-hour fastball.
I mean, you can't execute a relay play any better than the Braves just did. That was perfect.
Chris Johnson hit .279 for Houston last year, 92 games. Traded to Arizona, hit .286 there. Did anybody think this guy would be leading the National League at .346 in August of the following season? Braves got him with Justin Upton for 5 players, including Martin Prado. Adam LaRoche will handle that one, and the league's leading hitter retired. That's 4 in a row for Steven Strasburg. Second inning presented by Luna. Call for the Luna double. Get your second room of flooring free at 877-241-LUNA. Dan Uggla 0 for his last 10. But he's a different hitter against Steven Strasburg. Well, as a rule, when Steven retires him, he does strike him out. 11 for 24, but 9 Ks. There's a knee-buckling breaking ball.
I would say, as a rule, when Dan Uggla makes it out, everybody's striking him out. He's got 138 on the year.
That's the most in the National League. Not the most in baseball, but the most in this league. Talked about the Braves strikeouts. B.J. Upton is 7th at 105. Justin Upton is 5th at 116. They do a bit resemble the 2011 Diamondbacks. And of course, Justin was on that team, spawning the great quote by Phil Wood 2 years ago that the Diamondbacks strike out like they like it. BJ is next here in the top of the second. Changeup for the strikeout. He has got the secondary pitches going on right now.
Well, he's got the fastball going too, and that's what's setting up the secondary pitches, because you have to respect the fact that the fastball's in the zone. It's mid to upper 90s, and then the changeup curve have been good to go with it.
Extra Mile Index from Firestone, the complete auto care Extra Mile Index. Strikeouts to walks at home, 6.32 the ratio. B.J. Upton takes a strike of beauty.
If he starts dropping that curve in for strike one like that, look out. Now get you off the ambush fastball. Throws it later in the count. You have to commit to it because he's shown he can throw it in the zone.
97 runs back to the corner. You've made this remark before. Sometimes 97 and 98 can't move quick enough to get back to a corner at that velocity.
Right.
BJ hitting a .182 just back off the DL. Hurt his side on a dive in the outfield. And Strasburg was heading for the dugout again. That one ruled a little low by Rob Drake. Here's the Mercedes-Benz pitch track.
Well, I like the fact that Steven Strasburg's anxious to get back to his dugout, but he's thrown a couple of close pitches. Haven't gone his way.
That one will not go his way either. And Rob Drake just took off his mask, and he's talking to Wilson Ramos. He does not like what's going on with Strasburg jumping off the mound, and I'm sure he's hearing about it from the Nats catcher.
Well, a home plate umpire will tell you they think you're showing them up by doing this. Let them make the call before you run off the mound. And the one thing that will do, and I've been on the other side, it can wake up another dugout.
That one misses by a wide margin, so that's a walk.
Nobody likes a pitcher running off the mound if you're facing him. That's from a hitter's standpoint, obviously, and the home plate umpire doesn't like it. It's almost like a hitter running out of there on a 3-ball count saying, I knew it was ball 4, and they call it a strike just because you ran out of the box. Same sort of deal right there. And Ryan Zimmerman trying to calm down Steven Strasburg.
Number 8 hitter, Andrelton Simmons, who was batting some leadoff earlier this year and last year. Right now hitting .247, and he's 0 for 6 career against Strasburg. Pitcher next. This would be a nice out to get, ending the second.
The one thing I will say from a complimentary standpoint, if you have a really good curveball going, I've seen this with Barry Zito, you can buckle an umpire too early in the game with the break of the curve until they get accustomed to how much that curveball is breaking. Just like a hitter gets fooled, an umpire can get fooled thinking that's way too high. There's no way it's coming down.
0-1. Andrelton Simmons made his major league debut here against Steven Strasburg June 2nd of last year. Went 0 for 3, got his first major league hit the next day against Gio, who will go tomorrow night against Julio Teheran. Overmatched on that one, strike 2.
Another great curveball from Strasburg, and yes, he did. Well, I'll think about going with it again. Good count to run on if you're B.J. Upton.
Braves don't steal a lot of bases. On the DL, Jordan Schaefer is their team leader with 9. B.J. has 8. Justin has 6. To Ryan Zimmerman, and the short way to Rendon. Strasburg featuring amazing stuff early in this game.
That happened between innings. I'm going to tell you what I think happened. Trent Jewett talking to Rob Drake on the way to third base. They had a lengthy conversation. And if I know Trent Jewett like I think I do, he's telling Rob Drake, hey, it's a big game. We got our starter out there. He's pumped up. And I'll let him know that, hey, probably should stay on the mound a little bit longer. But a lot of emotion involved in this series, and it's an emotional game, so cut him a break.
Anthony Rendon gets a start today. Did not start the game yesterday, but he came on to get on base twice, including 7th-inning homer that got the Nats back to within 1.
Yeah, double switch. Got a slider from Michael Gonzalez down and in. He got hit by a pitch, so pretty good day. 1 for 1 with the Tater off the bench.
Batting average at .259. Facing Mike Minor for the first time. Lombardozzi will as well in a moment, and then Scott Hairston. who has faced Minor before. 1-1 strike. It's a good eye on a 90 fastball that didn't miss by much. The guy swinging a good bat. That's a strike.
Well, that's the pitch that Rendon likes. Kind of in two-strike mode right there, fouling it off. But we've seen the rest of the National League kind of adjust to Anthony Rendon, including the Tigers, the American. They've thrown him lots of hard stuff on the inner half.
Two-two, and Rendon rips it up the middle. Now we can talk about the home run yesterday. And along with the homer, that's one of the best swings we've seen from him in a while.
Short, compact, quick, right to the baseball. Two-strike count, got a ball out over the plate. I think Minor wanted this a little bit more inside. He leaves it right down the middle. And just a nice, short, compact swing. Not a whole lot to it. The line drive single, third hit of the night for the Nats.
Third baseman Chris Johnson playing shallow. Not that you would do it down at this stage of the lineup, but Steve's a good bunter, and the Braves think something might be up. That's a fastball outside. Johnson was actually on the grass by the time that pitch made it home. Steve swinging the bat well, as I said, 16 for his last 44. It's over 22 games and a batting mark of .364. So he's over .250 for the season now. And he'll bump it right up the middle. Simmons, Ugla, and Freeman on the 6-4-3. Thursday, a week from Thursday, the Giants will be here. That's a 4:05 game before we head to Atlanta. First 15,000 fans, 21 and over, receive a Nationals cap presented by Miller Lite. You must enter through the center field gate to receive it. That's while supplies last. Some restrictions apply. Nationals.com/tickets. The Nats cap giveaway presented by Miller Lite. Now it's up to Hairston to try to get aboard, to get Steven Strasburg in the batter's box here in the second. Hairston's 3 for 12 against Minor with a home run. Scott 2 for his first 5 as a Nat, and then in spot duty lately, 0 for his last 13. Minor this year 11-5, 6th in the league in wins, 9th in ERA, and 9th in opponents' batting average, .220. So it looks like the Braves are onto something with this 25-year-old lefty, following in the footsteps of David Price out of Vanderbilt. And the Nats have their 25-year-old right-hander going tonight. Outside, good take by Scott. That ball really hit hard into the corner. That's a fair ball at the 336 mark. And Scott Hairston motors into second with a double. His third hit as a Nat, and that ball was scorched. Third double of the year overall.
And a double play looming large after that double from Scott Hairston. And I don't think you can hang a line drive out there any harder than he just did. It's just a matter if it was going to stay fair, but if you look, he got his hands inside the ball, so the ball doesn't hook. Short hops the fence, and he had to hustle to get into second base.
Yeah, the Braves have some very quick and athletic outfielders. Here's Strasburg, who has driven in 1 run this year, 9 in his career. 5 hits, 34 at bats.
Well, usually with the pitcher hitting, when you're on second base, you're thinking, I got to get a really big secondary, get a good jump when the ball's put into play, because the outfield is cheating up. But right now, the Braves outfield showing Steven Strasburg tons of respect. Hayward playing straight up how he'd play a hitter in right field. The same with Upton in center.
Yeah, usually the off outfielder is the one really shallow, huh?
I mean, they're playing like a regular hitters in the box. And usually, you know, you're about 4 steps up if you're Hayward and right. Same way if you're Upton in center.
And a 1-2, Strasburg IDs the off-speed pitch. Counts even. Two for 3 with an RBI and a walk against Mike Minor.
That's why the outfield's giving him a little respect.
Foul tip. And Brian McCann on the redirect, not able to grab that one. Bryce Harper hit the ball sharply first time. Freddie Freeman took a hit away from it. Strasburg chops it. He's going to try to leg one out. Chris Johnson gets him by a step. So the Nats a couple of hits in the second. They've had 4 hits in the game. First time through the lineup, leading 1-0. Matching up with Mike Minor early. Nats on top. When the Nats win and win big, everyone wins. With a W and 7 or more runs, 50% off at papajohns.com if you enter promo code NATS50. Valid at participating D.C., Maryland, and Northern Virginia locations. Better ingredients, better pizza. Papa John's, official pizza of your Washington Nationals, available right here at the ballpark.
So Steven Strasburg having a little chat with Rob Drake, probably saying, hey, I'm a little fired up right now, my bad, I'll stay up on that hill for you. Kind of working things out, good discussion between the two, and Rob Drake obviously said something that was amusing there at the end.
Yeah, that mound's big enough to stay on for a while. Rob Drake in his 6th year as a big league umpire. When you see an umpire take off his mask, something is happening, and that's what he did. And I think that was mainly in response to what Wilson Ramos might have been saying. They were having quite a conversation, and as long as the catcher doesn't turn around, the umpire and he will handle things. Now Mike Minor gets to bat against Strasburg. He's 0 for 3 career against Steven. But he has 6 hits, a homer this year, and 6 RBIs. Big guy, 6'4", 205. Counts even, 1-1.
And just kind of check the Nats outfield out. Scott Hairston playing very shallow. Bryce Harper in center playing very shallow. As opposed to how the Braves are playing Strasburg.
Ramos went running back to the backstop just as the appeal was made. In case that had been called a swing, he had to go retrieve the original baseball. Turned out it was not a swing, according to Joe West.
So great if you check his swing and they said he went, and then you just put your hand back for another ball from the ump and throw that one to first.
Not sure it works that way. Here's Desmond with the bare hand again. It's becoming a daily occurrence. Ian Desmond making a third baseman's play quite frequently at shortstop lately.
Well, we said the other day he was channeling his inner Omar Vizquel. Same way right here. Look at Minor get out of the box, and he runs very well. And Desmond, with good knowledge of the opposing pitcher and his speed, realizes he's got to go to the bare hand, grabs it, throws it right on the money for the first out. That's a great shot right there. Look at that, just on the fingertips. And then he grabs the ball a little more secure, had a change-up grip, and all in one motion got a better grip, threw it right on the money. That last shot was fantastic.
First time through the order, the Braves 0 for 8 with a walk. Here's Hayward, who hit the ball that LaRoche dropped for an error to start the game.
Just watch where this ball hits Ian Desmond's fingers initially, and watch how he kind of rights the ball into a good grip. Just off the fingertips, right? Barely gets it, kind of got a split grip on it, and then watch him adjust it. Has all in one motion as he's going to throw.
Serious gas upstairs, 97, strike 2. Man, you talk about some athletes on the field tonight. Both teams. And that one, that's a changeup that veers way outside, counts 2-2.
'98.
That'll keep you from leaning out over the plate. Justin Upton waiting, became Strasburg's first strikeout victim 2 innings ago. Right off the end of the bat, here comes Desmond again. This time the glove, and with the glove he couldn't get a handle on it. But he knew he had to hurry. Hayward can fly. That would be a tough way to give up your first hit of the night. It is ruled a base hit.
Well, if you're wondering why he used the glove on this one and didn't on the last one, it's because of the angle he has to go to. Going that far over and where the ball is, you can't field that one barehanded. So he went with the glove, couldn't get the grip on the exchange, and an infield single, the first hit of the night for the Braves.
I think that's a good call. Would have taken an exceptional play to throw out the runner. So here's Upton, struck out swinging, first time up. Justin has hit into 10 double plays this year. (1-0). That's a fair ball. Zimmerman floats it to first, and LaRoche has to come off the bag. And that'll be a hit all the way for Justin Upton.
That's the only play that Zimmerman had, and with the speed of Upton, no shot. Good job of keeping that ball in the infield, but that was close to being foul right there. Goes with the lob across the infield to LaRoche. But you can't go to second base right there, not with the speed of Hayward and with the lead that he had.
10-game streak now for Upton. And a base hit to right from Freddie Freeman. That'll tie the game. 2 infield hits and a ball not hit that hard. Freddie Freeman, their best RBI guy, with 74. He's hitting over 440 now with runners in scoring position.
Second in the majors. So that's 40 for 90 this year for Freddie Freeman with runners in scoring position. And look at that swing, almost like a slap shot in hockey on the changeup from Strasburg. Throws it out there far enough and easy enough to wave Jason Hayward and get on the board.
First and second still with 1 out. Brian McCann, the hitter. On the changeup, 87 in there. Great speed at second. Freddie Freeman behind Upton. Strasburg working quickly, misses outside, 2-1.
Boy, sometimes good hitters beat a good pitch. That was a good pitch to Freeman from Steven Strasburg.
A high drive, deep center. Harper under it. Bryce setting up for a throw here. And Layton getting back to the bag was Upton. Bryce will one hop it to third. 2 outs.
Well, Upton just took off like that ball was going to be off the wall, or maybe he thought there was 2 outs. Got halfway to third and had to scramble back to second. And I think Bryce Harper's been waiting to make this throw all year. Maybe feeling a little confined in left field. Finally gets to air one out from center. A one hopper right on the money to Ryan Zimmerman. Yeah, let it eat, Bryce.
Chris Johnson, the hitter, with 2 outs. Bounced out to LaRoche first time. And that one right to Ian Desmond. Over to Rendon. Strasburg, good job of closing out the inning after 3 less than hard-hit baseballs. Harper, bottom of the third, straight ahead.
Amtrak.com. All tied up at 1, and we're going to go back to the first inning and check out the relay play. First, the RBI from LaRoche. Does a nice job of splitting the gap, but then watch Andrelton Simmons and how he catches this ball kind of sideways already. Didn't have to turn, all in one motion. It was an absolute rocket to Brian McCann on one of the better relay plays you'll ever see at the major league level. And if you want to instruct your kids on how to do a relay, that was perfect. And it's not always about hitting the first guy, Cart. A lot of times as an outfielder, you'll aim for the second guy because you know he's closer to the plate.
They did it well. You might have also noticed Ian Desmond playing coach after he crossed home, telling Ramos to get down for the slide. So it's Harper, Desmond, and Zimmerman here, bottom of the third. 3-0 to Bryce Harper. 2 for 9 with a walk career against Minor. Not very good splits on the control numbers so far. Inside, 4-pitch walk. He's now thrown more balls than strikes. Second walk. Inside the numbers with STG Inc. So the Nats batting average so far in August, bats coming alive at .265. Tough start to the season. Coming into this game overall, and it takes forever to raise the team batting average after a slow start, .241. Desmond walked and scored his first time.
Well, we just showed that graphic about the average in August, and I was going to say it was a shoe effect, but I was told by Director of Player Development for the Nationals, Doug Harris, that Rick Shue has been on TV lately more than the Kardashians. So,
well, that's what happens when you're the analyst's best friend.
There's Kim Kardashian.
By the way, Steve McCaddy told me, tell your partner nice job on the Wally Pipp comment the other day.
Yeah, he punched me right in the gut first thing today.
Oh, diving stop by Agla. Looked like a sure base hit for Ian Desmond. And a good job by Bryce Harper to stay home to avoid the double play at first.
Oh, what a play by Agla. And apparently Uglas can fly. Watch this. Going to his left, flat out dive to take away a single from Ian Desmond. And who knows, good read by Bryce Harper getting back after he realized Ugla had a beat on it not to get doubled up. What a play.
Here's Ryan Zimmerman, who flied out to Hayward down the right field line first time.
The minor stuff has not been sharp here tonight so far, especially his off speed. I wonder if that last start against the Rockies had anything to do with it. We're in 7 shutout innings, but watching the video of his last start, all of his secondary pitches very crisp down the zone. Fastball location was great. You see how just kind of rolling in there tonight, not a lot of snap to it.
Last 4 starts, he's gone 7, 8, 7, and 7. Walks and hits per innings pitched, equaling that whip stat. And a 2-0 to Zimmerman. Wilson Ramos in the number 4 spot tonight, 1 for 1. Well, 3 of the 4 hits have been hit extremely hard. The LaRoche double, the Rendon single, the Hairston double. And the count's 2-2. Twilight time approaching here. 8:05 local. Two count. Short lead by Harper.
Yeah, mine are tough to run on, so quick to the plate. Almost slide steps every time. So unless you're thinking about going first move as soon as he picks up his right foot, he is tough to steal off of.
And he pulled the string on Ryan Zimmerman. First strikeout tonight, 2 outs. Saturdays and Sundays, and that's this weekend. Harris Teeter Family Fun Pack Day at the ballpark. Here's a great deal. Starting at just $19, you get a ticket, a hot dog, chips, and a drink. It's the all-inclusive Harris Teeter Family Fun Pack. Available online only at nationals.com/family. Well, last time up, Wilson Ramos had a runner who had walked at first base with 2 outs. He moved Desmond to third, trying to get Harper around this time. That ball is stung to right, and Hayward right there to grab it. Nats are swinging the bats tonight as the sun sets beautifully behind the Washington Monument with a big old airplane approaching Washington Reagan. One ball game, 4th inning coming up. There's your National League Player of the Month for July, Jason Worth. You think he might be back in the next day or two?
Yeah, so you can try to be in there tomorrow.
Okay. Strasburg to Ugla, 4th inning underway with a strike, and Dan Ugla became strikeout victim number 4 2 innings ago.
So if he had enough at-bats to qualify right now, Jason Worth would be right behind Joey Votto. 6th in the league in hitting.
Another number I was looking at over the weekend in Milwaukee is his on-base percentage of .386. And that'd be good for 6th or 7th in the league as well. The guys who get hits but also have such a good knowledge of the strike zone, drawing their fair share of walks and scoring lots of runs. That's a busted bat. Strasburg on the one hopper to LaRoche. 4th inning underway in good fashion.
Well, we said about Jason early in the month of July that, you know, I thought he was playing the best baseball he's ever played in his career. And his OPS the same as it was in 2010 before he signed the big contract with the Nationals. And the way he's been swinging the bat and the way he's been inventing ways to get hits to go with the hard ones, there's no reason why he can't contend for a batting title here in the last month and a half.
B.J. Upton leaning back from that breaking ball. Strasburg walked him after not getting a couple of calls on 2 strikes. And the fastball outside, 2-1.
Well, it usually takes Steven Strasburg about 3 or 4 innings to get into that rhythm and find his groove out there. He's had it from pitch 1 tonight. All the parts working together. Good tempo, good rhythm in his delivery.
There's that breaking ball right over the plate at the knees. Only question as we watched it, would it be high enough to get a strike call? It was. And that's number 5.
I mean, that's just filthy. Watch this. Look at the spin he's putting on that, the late break, the good frame by Ramos. I mean, wow.
5 Ks already times $37 to the Children's Inn at the National Institutes of Health. It's Toyota Case for Kids from our D.C. area Toyota dealers, helping children and their families. That's a front door breaking ball in there, right under the hands of Andrelton Simmons. On a pitch up. He was all geared up, and then he was out in front of the changeup. A 1.68 ERA at home coming in. 4th best of any pitcher in the league. That's about 60% of his strikeouts here. Then he goes changeup. It's 1-2.
Mixing the off speed, nice.
By the way, Steven Strasburg is in his 134th inning of work this year.
This Braves ball club is a fastball hunting team. They don't miss fastballs very often, and you saw the graphic. Steven Strasburg almost 50-50 with his heat and his off speed. So trying to keep him off that heater, and they don't care if it's 97, 98. They don't miss him.
Trying to keep the pitcher from batting in this 4th inning. Got him on a pitch way upstairs. The changeup. 2 Ks in the inning, 6 in the game. Steven Strasburg's first 1-2-3 inning tonight. 1-1 ball game, AFCEA, the Association for Global Security Professionals. Julie has our sideline report. Good evening.
Hey, good evening, guys. Well, Jason Worth, a late scratch for tonight's game due to that tweaked groin, which he played through over the weekend in Milwaukee. Adam LaRoche telling me, you never want to lose Jason Worth, especially now when he's playing so well. He's so hot. He said, but this is the opportunity. This is the time that the bench guys really need to show up. He said they need to go out there. They don't need to be anyone else than who they are. Of course, you're not going to get Jason Worth back when he's not playing. He said, but this is a great opportunity for these guys to show them what they got. And as far as using Jason Worth's bat again, he said he might have to do it depending on how tonight goes. Jason Worth gave him a hug and said, go for it.
Well, not sporting the two-tone model here in the bottom of the fourth.
First time up, he got his own bat, did some damage, so go for the second time up. You can't cheat on your bat too long, or your regular model just won't have your bat. It's a fine line.
Yeah, got to be careful. Don't get carried away with an infatuation. You're looking for a long-term relationship here.
It's with the one that has your name on it. It'll always be there for you.
Until there's severe damage. LaRoche an RBI double first time up, and that's up and in. Counts even 2-2. And LaRoche almost an identical line drive. This one will be a single. Didn't hit it as hard, but he's 2 for 2. Waiting for this man to break out. And a good sign upon the return home at these two swings tonight.
Well, Mike Minor's been up, elevating his fastball tonight. You look at that one to LaRoche, belt high right there. Got the barrel out, dropped it in there in right field. And that was Jason Worth's bat. Well, sometimes you got to do what you got to do. And your own bats have to get over it.
Well, hey, don't worry, FP. Dr. Phil didn't get it right every day either. Here's Rendon, and he really scorched one up the middle first time. That'll be high and tight, and the count's even 1-1.
And that's exactly where Mike Minor wanted a two-strike pitch to Rendon first time up, and he left it out over the plate. Like you said, right back up the middle hard.
Two marquee games in this league tonight, both 1-1. Braves Nats, fourth inning. Dodgers at St. Louis, and the Dodgers, just as I said that, went up 2-1. Top of the fourth. They're 5.5 up in the West now over Arizona. And Rendon fouling another one off. Good crowd here tonight. Almost all sections of the ballpark pretty full. Nats are averaging 33,630 a game.
Look at that kid. He wants the ball right there. Look at the look on his face.
Please,
he's so
mister.
close.
Please, mister. Rendon made an offer. No swing. 2-2. Anthony able to take that breaking ball in on his hands and do something with it to stay alive. With that LaRoche base hit, and he has 2 of them tonight. The Nats have out-hit the Braves 5-3. Rendon a bouncer. Short, second, And Anthony beats the relay. So Simmons and Uggla go 6-4 on the fielder's choice. Inside the numbers with STG Inc. Now the Nats remaining schedule 35 against the East, including tonight 9 against the Braves. 25 at home, 26 on the road, so just about 50-50 there. They will actually finish the season the last week at St. Louis and at Arizona. And of course the Diamondbacks ahead of the Nats in the playoff race. They are 2 games back of the Reds, actually just 2 games ahead of the Nats, and 4.5 back at Cincinnati. Nats are 6.5 back of the idle Reds tonight. And Lombardozzi with a ground ball. They'll try to turn 2 here. Well, if that wasn't a neighborhood play, Simmons made it look that way, but they turned a nice 4-6-3. That's how close the Nats came to at least a 2-run inning back in the first. It's a 1-1 ball game as we go top 5. Geico President's Race a little while ago. Teddy off to a late start, but you know, it is Shark Week.
It is. The only thing this race was missing was Snuffy the Seal.
Well, evidently William Howard Taft is the seal.
They got to work in a Snuffy the Seal, but a big win for Teddy, nonetheless. Not a good week to be a Seal.
Anything they can do about it? Somewhere to hide?
They try.
Somewhere you can go?
No. I mean, Shark Week's basically the same thing every year. Some snorkeler that feeds a shark with a fish, gets his arm bit off, and a guy with the accent talks about it. It's the same thing every year.
That sounded like a busted bat right off the end. Mike Minor pops up to Ian Desmond. And Steven Strasburg now retiring 6 in a row since that Freddie Freeman RBI hit back in the 3rd. Top of the order now. PNC Minor League Report for the Achiever in You by PNC Bank. Recent Grand Slam highlighting the production of Tyler Moore, International League Player of the Week, hitting .308. And FP, now we're seeing what that talented young man can do when he just gets the at-bats he needs.
Yeah, he just needs the regular at-bats, the timing, and he's still going to be a great major league hitter. There's no doubt about it.
Strasburg's had to expend a lot of energy against Jason Hayward tonight, who reached on an error and an infield hit, and both times they were full counts. Gets ahead there with a good breaking ball. Well, the Nats minor league system really producing well right now. FP's talked about some of that over the last week or two. 4 affiliates have already clinched postseason or currently lead their respective divisions. Harrisburg, Carolina, Hagerstown, and the Gulf Coast Nationals down in Florida.
Yeah, they don't lose.
Nice going, guys.
I think they're 33-6.
On the 0-2, the changeup just kind of tantalizes Hayward on its way outside.
Patrick Anderson, the skipper down there, doing a great job.
Fastball up and away, and that's where the pop-up goes over to Ryan Zimmerman. Plenty of room. 2 outs.
You know those numbers two Carp say about Tyler Moore? It says a lot about his character, because when you play in the big leagues that long and you get sent back to AAA, I've seen guys go down there and mope around, and you know everybody in AAA has a story. Nobody obviously wants to be there. And when you talk to guys in AAA, everyone got jobbed by a GM somewhere, or a manager didn't like them, and everybody has an excuse why they're in AAA and not in the big leagues. But for a guy like Tyler Moore to go down there after being up here for so long and to put up those numbers, to me, says more about the man than the player.
Yeah, good call. And the other thing about AAA, AA, that's where all the hard throwers are, the guys who go after you with their fastballs, the young pitchers on the rise. A.J. Cole, one of those from the Nats right now. And Justin Upton's 2 for 3. But at AAA, you'll see guys who've been in the big leagues who have a whole bag of tricks they take to the mound, and you're not going to get a 3-1 fastball just because. So for Tyler to be doing that against some veteran guys, pretty impressive. Justin Upton, 16 for 41 now during his 10-game hitting streak. That brings in Freddie Freeman, who's on a 9-game streak of his own with 14 hits. Only one Achilles heel bothers these Braves. They're under 500 on the road. 29-30. Not like they're way under, but they're so dominant at home. 23 games over. Wow, what a jump. Upton can walk into second base. That'll be his 7th steal of the year in 8 attempts.
They saw it right behind Steven Strasburg. Justin Upton just takes off right here. Watch how early he leaves. Thought he had some kind of timing down from Strasburg to where maybe got in a rhythm, just took off and went. Now I got to face a guy that's hitting .440 with runners in scoring position. Or do you?
Alan Craig of St. Louis at an unreal .470 plus. The only man Freeman trails. 3-0 pitch. He rips it up the middle, and the Braves will take the lead. Strasburg pitched him carefully and got some plate with 3-0. And Freddie Freeman has 75 RBIs.
And when you're having success in those situations, your concentration level goes up, your relaxation level goes down because you're so used to succeeding in these situations. They're not a big deal. And for guys that scuffle in situations, it's the opposite. Your pulse goes up, you start to try too hard, but you see with Freddie Freeman, 3-0 hack, nothing to it. 2-1 Braves. And sometimes you get to where at-bats without runners in scoring position is where you really have to start focusing, because you're so used to being in those big situations and succeeding.
Brian Buchanan struck out and flied to center. So the stolen base pays immediate dividends for the Braves. With Justin Upton swiping second, Freeman knocks him in almost immediately. .2-0 changeup. So Brian McCann might have thought he was getting a heater. Nissan Pitch Track says otherwise.
Change up, good late fade, 86. Changeup's been nice and slow for Strasburg tonight. That pitch at times can be in the 90s, but when it's 86 like that, it moves more.
Boy, and that's a bigger differential from his fastball. Good block by Ramos, and it looks like Wilson might have gotten the bare hand hit by that one. Brian McCann says, I feel your pain.
And a change up, this one 87. Yeah, I got that right on the thumb and the meat hand.
Change up away, is that what that was? No, throw to first with the thumb, huh?
Yeah, usually you roll over the thumb. That's the universal throw-over sign.
Change up down, strike two. And Nats could use a ground ball here. Braves have turned a couple of double plays that have hurt the Nationals. And Brian McCann is it into 5 on the year. High pitch count. 22 pitches first inning, 19 more in the second. A lot of swing and miss stuff for Strasburg tonight. 3-2, runner goes. Got him. So McCann becomes strikeout victim number 7. The 5th coming up. Hairston, Strasburg, and Harper. Visit Kia.com to learn why Kia is one of the fastest growing car brands in America. So career against Mike Minor, and we include Steven Strasburg, who has as many hits against him as Bryce Harper does, and half the hits that Scott Hairston does, including the Hairston double here tonight. Mike Minor, 65 pitches, 37 strikes in 4 innings. Not a great ratio.
He hasn't been sharp tonight. He really hasn't. I mean, this is probably the Braves' best starter. He's been up with his fastball, and his off speed just hasn't really been there. He's thrown a couple of good curveballs with 2 strikes.
Yeah, pitch he's had tonight is the double play ball. 2 of them to Steve Lombardozzi. Hairston hit a ball as hard as you can to the left field corner first time. It's a breaking ball that stays up and away, 1-1.
And you see the misses from Mike Minor are above the strike zone, and that's not where you want to be, especially with your off-speed stuff.
Two-one changeup. This would be a great time to get a leadoff man aboard. Pitcher coming up next. Strasburg can handle the bat.
Be a great time to drive yourself in.
He's been known to do that against left-handed pitchers. He has a career homer against Mike Minor. Good take. Base on balls. Nats given their third walk of the night. They took advantage of one in the first inning. Free post-game concert series, Nats Live, Gavin DeGraw, Saturday, August 31st, after the night game against the Mets. Game tickets start at just $10. Nationals.com/Nats Live. Some restrictions apply. You must have an August 31st valid game ticket to listen to the music. Strasburg pulled the bat back. Looked like it might have been a called strike anyway.
Now for me, Chris Johnson's way too close to Steven Strasburg. He's charging so hard. A guy that can handle the bat like Strasburg could easily pull back and hit a ball by him, especially off a lefty. And Johnson is charging out of control at third base. And when you have Simmons covering second base, virtually the whole left side of the infield is open right now for Strasburg. So you have Simmons going right here to second. You have Johnson charging right here. You basically have the whole left side of the infield if you want to pull it back and swing.
Strasburg will lay it down. That's a great bunt. Far enough away from home plate. It took McCann a while to get there. Hairston runs well. 2-4 on the sacrifice. The 6th of the year for Strasburg. And a fan that loves small ball saluting that nice effort.
That's helping yourself out. The tie and run in scoring position, setting the stage for Bryce Harper.
Harper, ground ball and a walk. Bryce has driven in 37 runs. Left-handed batters have all the RBIs in this game tonight. LaRoche and then Freddie Freeman a couple. Big crowd to welcome the boys back home for a long homestand. Braves 3, Phillies 3, Giants 3 between now and a week from Thursday, with days off this Thursday and next Monday. High in the air, left field corner, Justin Upton on the track. Hairston went back to tag and then returned on the quick release by the left fielder.
Just missed it, cut across it. Still went to the track.
This series full of good pitching matchups. Gio and Julio Teheran tomorrow. Jordan Zimmerman, Chris Medlin Wednesday. And then on Thursday, the off day, the Phillies are in for the weekend, and WUSA 9 will join us for the 7 o'clock game. Make a special note of the Sunday starting time, a 5 o'clock Sunday game here at Nationals Park against the Phils. Desmond has walked, scored, and I mean lined out hard to Dan Uggla. Uggla went diving to his left and speared it through the air last time up.
It's been a while since you've seen a ball club try to pound Ian Desmond on the inner half. Usually everything he sees is away, breaking away from him. But after that line drive to second, Mike Minor is deciding to come into Ian Desmond with the fastball.
Hairston able to get a big lead because Simmons is playing so far to pull. And then Dan Uggla's a good 35 feet or so from the bag.
2 outs. There's no need to worry about the runner at second unless you think he's relaying location to the hitter.
1-1. That's the tying run sitting out there. High and tight to Ian Desmond. There they are since the 1st of June. Desmond right there with the top 2 guys in the league. Overall, the entire season, Craig and Freeman are 1 and 2. That's going to paint the outside corner. Counts even. Mercedes-Benz will track it.
And made him aware of the fastball in, then goes to the backdoor slider at 84 to get the call. Just nipping that outer corner.
Desmond rung up on a breaking ball. Leadoff man walked. Never made it beyond second base after the sacrifice. And it's 2-1 Braves into the 6th.
Of Alexandria, 2-1 Bravos as we head to the top of the 6th. And how about Steven Strasburg's night? He's been doing it with the off speed, primarily the curveball. Not afraid to go to the changeup right here. And another curveball to Brian McCann, and then maybe some heat right here. And another curveball, and this one's actually a changeup to Simmons, who can't get on top. This is live.
That's a live arm. Chris Johnson takes one in there. He has bounced out twice. Strasburg headed for 100 pitches here in the 6th inning. Unbelievable hook he's had going tonight. I mean, changing planes, one side of the plate to the other. Starting off over the heart of the plate, ending up way outside. A lot of swing and miss action tonight. And Johnson will just walk away. He has left the area, and he is out. Strikeout number 8.
3-pitch seer with 3 curveballs. Didn't even mess around with a fastball to Chris Johnson. Just went curveball, curveball, and curveball. This one, after he threw a couple first strikes, Johnson had to commit and was nowhere near.
Uggla and B.J. Upton, the next 2. Dan Uggla goes up hacking early. Ian Desmond. Strasburg could use some quick outs at this stage of the game. Braves box, they only have 5 hits. They've only had hits in 2 innings. But they got a couple of infield hits, and the Freeman, a little line drive to right field in the 3rd. Nothing soft about his line drive single up the middle in the 5th. After Upton had singled with 2 outs and stolen second base. That hurt. That was a 3-0 count. First base was open with 2 outs, and Freddie Freeman went down and got one and just smashed it up the middle.
Well, it's starting to get late. When you talk about the Braves bullpen, first in ERA, first in opponent's average, first in hits allowed, fewest walks. And that's how teams get to be 22 games over 500 to have a good pen. So it's up to Strasburg to keep it right there. But when you look at the bottom of the 6th, to me, that's the inning. You got to do something with the heart of the order coming up.
Two balls, 1 strike. Upton has walked and struck out. BJ, that is. 1 for 9 career against Steven Strasburg. He's had that fastball screaming across the outside edge all night. 12 strikeouts against the Pirates 2 outings ago, 7 at Detroit last time out. Front door. And that's number 9 on the night. Ryan Zimmerman, Wilson Ramos, and Adam LaRoche in the 6th, down by 1. That's bottom of the 6th inning, middle of the batting order. A pitcher at times who has struggled tonight, but has found a way to get outs. And I know you've been looking over some of those Atlanta bullpen numbers for the last few minutes, indicating how important this bottom half of the 6th is.
Well, Mike Minor's been good. He threw a couple of nice backdoor sliders to Ian Desmond and last inning. But when you have the middle of the order coming up right here in a 2-1 ball game and a bullpen as good as the Braves bullpen is, I mean, this, in essence, could be the bottom of the 9th. You don't want to make too much about it. And obviously, the bullpen is human for the Braves, and they can give up runs. But when you talk about how locked down they've been, they play short games. And when they have the lead late, they usually win. So this becomes a very, very big inning offensively for the Nats.
That was Medlin's 82nd pitch of the night. Pardon me, Minor. Chris Medlin goes Wednesday night. But just 47 strikes. Zimmerman pulls it, base hit. So Ryan continues his .333 hitting over 12 ball games now.
Well, Wilson Ramos probably has had the best at-bats of anybody today. Maybe minus Adam LaRoche for the Nats. And Verizon Fios Exmo showing you the swing of Ryan Zimmerman, getting it started here in the 6th. Switch to 100% fiber optic Verizon Fios and supercharge your internet speeds.
Ramos 1 for 2, and he really hit the ball hard last time to right field. Hayward speared it. He's had some good hacks tonight. Braves 5 hits, the Nationals 6. Wilson Ramos, by the way, against Mike Minor, career now 4 for 6. He sees this guy well. That ball heading for the scoreboard. Hayward back, can't get it. At the base of the board, Ramos will go back, but Zimmerman's on third. And Wilson Ramos continues to dominate Mike Minor in their matchups.
Ramos. And a third hard hit of the ball tonight for Wilson Ramos. This one the other way, and Hayward does a nice job of playing it off the wall again. That ball gets any kind of carom to it. Ryan Zimmerman scores easily, and Ramos is on second. Bryce Harper approves, and Nationals have something brewing here in the 6th.
Tying run at third, nobody out. LaRoche 2 for 2. That's inside. RBI double in the first. Leadoff single in the 4th. Crowd waiting for something to stand up for here.
Good pitch. Cut fastball, started off the plate, came back for a strike.
Counts even 2-2. Nats box, 2 hits in the first, a run. 2 hits in the second, double play hurt, because Hairston doubled after the Lombardozzi double play ball. And now, here in this inning, putting hits together for the second time. On a breaking ball, down and away. Adam LaRoche gone. Have a look at our Firestone Complete Auto Care Extra Mile Index. And he finds a way not to give up many runs, 3 or less in 13 consecutive starts. Only Jordan Zimmerman on the road better since the start of last year. Well, this becomes the big at bat now.
You think it's something elevated, something to the middle of the ballpark if you're Anthony Rendon.
Minor went soft and had him way out ahead. ...179 innings last year. Made 30 starts. This is number 23 for him tonight. And Rendon takes the high riding fastball.
For Brian McCann, Mike Minor trying to get Anthony Rendon on the ground. You see the breakdown pitch number 93 coming. So maybe just a show me fastball up to change his eye line to go back down to that slider in.
Rendon to left center. That ball really hit hard. Justin Upton grabs it. Zimmerman cruises home. The game is tied. Boy, the Nats have hit some really centered baseballs tonight right at the Braves. That one ties the game.
Nicely done, Anthony Rendon.
Third RBI in his last 3 games, by the way.
And he got something up out of the plate. They went with the show-me fastball to try to change his eye level. They went back down to the curveball down in, almost the same exact pitch that he hit for a homer off Michael Gonzalez yesterday. Today, a little bit lower, a little bit harder, but good enough to tie this game at 2.
The lead run still on base with 2 outs is Lombardozzi with Ramos aboard. Faces Minor. He's hit 2 double play balls, 1 to short, 1 to second.
Boy, Rendon's bat has looked so quick here tonight. Lightning quick.
Pitch innings so far. And Lombardozzi to short. Simmons to Ugla. Nats tie the game in the inning that FP thought would be key tonight, the bottom of the 6th. Middle of the order delivers a tying run. Park. Strasburg still on the mound. And for a Nationals home game soon, bring your group. Group tickets, great for all types of events, company outings, birthday parties, family reunions, or just a whole bunch of friends having a great time. Bigger the group, the bigger the savings. Check it out, nationals.com/groups for more information about group opportunities. Strasburg, 103 pitches, 64 strikes. Simmons, Minor, Hayward, top 7.
103 pitches. Starting the 7th.
And as the game's gone on, the Braves getting aggressive early in the count, like they were to start the night. Simmons has grounded out to third and struck out swinging. One of Steven Strasburg's 9 Ks. Tied for the second most strikeouts in a ball game this year. He's done 9 a couple of times. Hot shot, Zimmerman on the backhand side to LaRoche for the out.
He just plays so shallow at third base, and he's so quick with his glove. Look where he's playing right there. I don't know that Simmons bunts that often, but Zimmerman on the grass gets a one-hop shot with 1 strike and makes the play. He just likes to be close to the action. To a slide, backhand, not a problem.
Inside to Mike Minor, 0 for 2 tonight. And Mike Minor launches one into the upper deck.
Goodness.
Now that is serious pull right there.
And those guys thought, no way are we getting a foul ball when they sat in their seats. Watch where this is. Section 304. Right over the Braves dugout.
We're envious. Breaking ball. Zimmerman again on the run. Strasburg 6 in a row since the Freeman RBI single, similar to the streak he started after Freeman drove a run in back in the third. Slots, tables, and dining, the ultimate triple play. Hollywood Casino at Charlestown Races. Fewest walks per 9 innings pitched. And the starters, this is in the franchise all time. Obviously a Nats best and approaching the Expos best back in '81. Breaking ball comes back to get the outside corner. Hayward 1 for 3, reaching on an error. Infield hit. Foul out. Ian Kroll up. Case this inning gets to Freddie Freeman, and it will not. Great 7th inning. A quick one for Steven Strasburg. And the stretch is brought to you by the Hyundai Clearance Countdown. Visit your local Hyundai dealers this week. Beautiful evening in our nation's capital, and a really nice ball game to go along with it. Brought to you by Navy Federal Credit Union. 4 million members, 4 million stories. Navy Federal Credit Union. By Kia. Visit Kia.com to learn why Kia is one of the fastest growing car brands in America. And by DentaQuest. Affordable coverage for priceless smiles. Ask your broker about DentaQuest. Beautiful look into Nationals Park from up to the northeast a bit. Right down here in D.C. on South Capitol Street. Gio 7-4, Julio Teheran 8-5, and the Braves are 14-7 in his start. The Nats are 6-2 in Gio's last 8 starts. 6:30, Johnny and Ray here at the ballpark. Nats Extra tomorrow night. We'll join you from the booth at 7 o'clock. First pitch right around 7:05, Game 2 of this series. Jason Worth looks like he may be hitting for Steven Strasburg here in a moment. Hairston, Strasburg, and Harper. ...112 pitches, 71 strikes. So Strasburg, his last 4 starts, has gone 7, 8, 7, and 7 now. Mike Minor trying to do that sort of thing for the 5th consecutive start. He has 96 pitches, 56, 4 strikes.
Well, Steven Strasburg has had so many tough luck losses this year and so many no decisions. It would be great for the Nationals and Steven Strasburg if they get him a run here and qualify him for a win. It's as good as he's pitched all year.
Hairston, a double and a walk in the number 8 spot tonight. 4 career hits, a home run against Mike Minor. And a ball well hit to left. Near the wall, it bangs off the wall, gets by Justin Upton. Hairston screaming into second, and he'll stop there with nobody out. Any elevation at all, he would have put the Nats on top. And what a night. There's one of those extra guys off the bench that Julie was talking about earlier this evening.
Wow, what a rope right here from Scott Hairston. Leadoff double. And you called it, any elevation right here, and this is 3-2 Nationals. And the 2 balls he's hit to left field tonight, you could not hit any harder. Laid that one out there on a line. Justin Upton too close to it. And you were thinking, is he going for 3 here? The ball carried way back, and Andrelton Simmons ran out there. Upton hustled after it to hold Hairston to a double, and that's going to do it for Mike Minor.
So Scott Hairston, and that's why the Nats signed him. He is a right-handed batter specialist against left-handed pitching. So Worth has been announced. The Braves make the move and go to the right side of their bullpen. And this call to the pen, packaged by the UPS store. We love logistics. We're going to have him in pinch hitting for the first time this year, and he is 1-for-1 career against the new Atlanta pitcher David Carpenter, who makes his 30th appearance of the year, a 1.98 ERA and a 2.10 opponent's batting average in 41 innings.
Yeah, 3-pitch guy, fastball, slider, and occasional changeup. Fastball averages 95 miles an hour. And I do not see any lefties up in the Braves bullpen for Bryce Harper on deck, so big at-bat here for Jason Worth, trying to at least advance Scott Hairston to third.
Worth pinch hits for the first time this year. Feeling well enough to swing the bat, and if he gets on base, the Nats might bring in a pinch runner. So we could see Roger Bernardina or Denard Span somewhere along here. Job one, at least getting Hairston to third here in the bottom of the 7th in a tie game.
They get Span in there to pinch run for Worth if he gets on, and then make your defense better if you take the lead.
Quite a night for Steven Strasburg. He would deserve to get a run and become the pitcher of record here.
Good atmosphere in the ballpark tonight all night long.
Oh, yeah. Carpenter, 28-year-old right-hander from Morgantown, West Virginia. Slider outside, 2-0.
See, in this situation, it's Tyler Clipper getting hot for the Nats. If you're Jason Worth, you're not thinking about a ground ball to second base to move the runner. You're a guy that knows how to drive in runs. What you're thinking right here is drive in the run to right field, to the right side. You're head 2-0. You just don't want to give yourself up right here. You're thinking about doing some damage, but doing it the right way.
And a strike, 2-1. Mercedes-Benz will track it.
Yeah, outer half. Almost to Jason Moore's strength right now. He thought it could go either way, and it went the Braves' way.
Carpenter, quite an arm. He was an all-Big East catcher at WVU over in Morgantown. Ooh, that ball. Not where McCann was set up. He was off the plate inside. Had to reach back to catch it. It looked like it got the plate.
Maybe a little cut to it right here. You see the way McCann receives the ball. He wanted it in and cut back late, right over the plate. Now you got to give yourself up, and any way you can get a ball the right side on the ground.
Way outside. Pretty good percentage by Carpenter this year. He was with the Blue Jays last year. Houston before that.
Huge pitch.
To a hitter, 7 of his last 10. Struck him out with 97. 1 out.
Now you can see the swing by Worth. He's trying to go the other way with it. It's just by him. You see the inside-out effort. He's thinking about hitting the ball the right side, but that late sink at 97, just a hair late. Kind of see where he's looking, too. Out towards second base.
Bryce Harper has never faced this right-hander. Oh for 2 with a walk tonight.
Even though Bryce Harper hasn't really hit the ball hard tonight, I am kind of surprised that they're pitching to him right now with first base open, right on left, and Ian Desmond on deck.
Yeah, 2 right-handed hitters coming up. Actually 3 counting Ramos. And a 1-0. And maybe the count dictates whether they challenge him at all now that it's gone to 2-0. Desmond 0 for 1 career against David Carpenter. Two and 1.
Well, Carpenter hasn't been hitting his spots, but he has had a good fastball, 96. McCann sitting up in, and watch this ball run back to the outer half of the plate. And even though he didn't hit his spot, he got the call from Rob Drake.
Two-1. Harper takes it off the plate, ball 3.
don't know if you go with a 3-1 fastball right here to Bryce. I mean, you might throw it, but you have to locate it. Loves to hit in this count, and he loves a good fastball.
He scorches it to right, and Hayward grabs it. Nats in tough luck all night with line drives to the outfield. 2 outs, it'll be up to Desmond.
Well, you hate to say it, but if you advance Scott Hairston, that's a sac fly for Bryce Harper. Gets into a 3-1 count, drills a line drive to Jason Hayward in right field. And you can't hit a ball any harder than that. Nice play by Hayward.
Desmond 0 for 2 with a walk. He's lined out hard tonight. Chops one in front of the plate. Fair ball, McCann. No, he has time. And Steven Strasburg will get a no decision tonight. Nats had a man at second base. Nobody out. This one tied into the 8th. The 11th through the 16th, highlighting the upcoming homestand, a Tyler Moore Carolina League MVP bobblehead. Fireworks shows, $1 Monday, halfway to St. Patrick's Day, and a Danny Espinosa backpack giveaway. See the future Nats today. 703-590-2311. PotomacNationals.com for regular season and playoff ticket info.
They had a big crowd for the Shark Arena Dina thing.
Upton, Freeman, McCann, 2-3-4 for Freddie Gonzalez Braves in the top of the 8th. They've had 2 10-game winning streaks this year, and only 4 other National League teams have done that in the last 50 years. Bryce Harper moves to left in the 8th. Denard Span's in center, and he'll be batting 7th for Lombardozzi. So Tyler Clippard, and the pitcher is still in the number 9 spot, takes over here. He has been amazing. Not just impressive, but amazing. And this is his 50th appearance.
He's kind of done that routinely this year, just on that first pitch curveball to get strike 1. Pitch he only threw 2% of the time last year. He's thrown it 6% of the time this year.
Justin Upton 2 for 3 tonight. A couple of base hits, stolen base, a run scored. And Clippard throws a breaking ball up over his helmet. Justin Upton, career against Clippard, 1 for 3 with a walk.
Seen pitches like that hit guys' bats and be put into play fair.
Fastball up at 92, 2-1.
Let's see. Is it close to Upton's bat? Look at that. Almost hit it. They tell you to get the bat down when that happens, but as a hitter, you never think of it. Don't really have time.
That ball is trouble. Right field line, and it is into the corner, foul. Just enough slice on it, because we could tell Hairston wasn't going to be able to get there.
Well, you knew it was going to be close because Upton was digging to first. A lot of times you just watch the hitter to find out if the ball is going to be fair or foul. If they know it's foul, they don't run. And Upton was thinking at least 2 bases right there. And the Joe West fair foul call right there was classic. Just pointed his finger, foul.
36th year, longest tenure of any umpire. Currently in the big leagues. Change up, check swing. Change up had him reaching, and that's over the dugout.
That was a nice job of spoiling a tough pitch.
Well, Tyler Clippard's going on 2 months now with an 0.70 ERA. Eighth inning guy trying to keep this thing tied. Change up, it's hit down the line. Will it stay fair? Yes. And Justin Upton hits his 20th of the year to put the Braves back on top.
Well, I'll tell you what, he watched it for a while, and he definitely wasn't in a hurry to get around the bases. 3-2 changeup right here from Clippard, up in his zone. He dropped the bat, took about 3 steps, and was not in any kind of hurry to get around the bases.
Freddie Freeman is next, and he's 2 for 3 with 2 RBIs. That's the Braves' 137th home run. They lead the league in that department.
Now, usually when Clippard throws a 3-2 changeup, guys are out front. They pull it foul. That time, even though it was a changeup, it was elevated, and Upton stayed back almost like he was looking for it.
Oh, 2 to Freeman. Up the middle. Base hit. Freddie Freeman's 3 for 4. So they're 2 and 3 guys doing all the damage tonight. The Braves have 1 hit other than Justin Upton and Freddie Freeman.
But Freddie Freeman's stroke is so short. I mean, there isn't a whole lot to it. Tough to find a hole in a swing that is that compact. That's why he has the numbers he has.
Not having trouble with his eyes anymore, is he?
Nope.
McCann 0 for 3, 2 strikeouts against Strasburg. McCann 1 for 11 career against Tyler Clippard. And the fastball is outside. Tyler is at his best when the fastball is being thrown for a strike. He missed with a couple to Upton. Home run on the changeup. Freeman got him early in the count. Target Ramos in. Right off the trademark, and McCann looking at his bat after that foul ball. Chris Johnson 0 for 3 against Strasburg. As mentioned, only one hit other than the 2-3 hitters. That's Hayward's infield hit back in the third. Two guys getting it done for the Braves. McCann will pop it up. That's back over the screen.
Now check out the 3-2 pitch from Tyler Clippard to Justin Upton. It was a changeup, and watch the release point and the location. I'd also like you to watch Upton, how he wasn't fooled at all. Yeah, the pitch was elevated, but watch, he's not out in front, almost like he let that come to him and sat on a 3-2 changeup. A lot of times you see a guy kind of get to his front side, keep his hands back, and make a nice adjustment. Right there, he hit that like he knew it was coming.
McCann up the middle to Clippard. Nice play. And an easy 1-6-3 after Tyler did his job.
A nice feed by Clippard, and once you make the good feed, Ian Desmond knows that he has time. So the tricky part, the first part to Desmond, no hurry to get Brian McCann on the 1-6-3.
Chris Johnson, league's leading hitter, 0 for 3 tonight against Steven Strasburg. 2 ground balls, a strikeout. That's a changeup upstairs. Tonight's copyrighted telecast, presented by authority of the Washington Nationals, and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Washington Nationals. Right at Anthony Rendon. Nationals didn't score. Braves get a big fly. Zimmerman, Ramos, and LaRoche, bottom of the 8th coming. Up 3-4-5, Zimmerman, Ramos, and LaRoche. The Nats have been given 3 walks tonight. They were able to get a run off one of those. And so for the season, almost $300, almost $15,000. CareFirst Blue Cross Blue Shield gives $50 to the Boys and Girls Club of Greater D.C. for every Nats walk. And they encourage each of us to take that first step towards a healthier and more active lifestyle. Paul Janisch, defensive specialist, in at third base, straight up for Chris Johnson, as David Carpenter, who got those 3 huge outs after the Hairston double, stays on the mound for the bottom of the 8th. They are warming up a left-handed pitcher now, possibly for Adam LaRoche. 12 pitches, 6 strikes. Fastball in there to Ryan Zimmerman. And the lefty is Luis Avilan. And then you know who they'll have ready for the 9th, unless the Nats can change this score.
Now Carpenter's got to get some tough outs here in the 8th. Wilson Ramos swinging the bat well tonight. Ryan Zimmerman with a base hit his last time up.
Ramos is 0 for 2 career against him, but Ryan Zimmerman's never faced David Carpenter. I'd say hitters will talk to you and tell you about facing these guys late in the game. And, you know, you got guys coming in that aren't closers these days. Seems like everybody throws 93, 95. This guy topping out at 97. The arms at this level are just amazing these days. Zimmerman, good job of taking a slider the other way.
And we always talk about, it seems like everybody's got a guy that throws 100. Somebody.
You can win a hitting lesson with Ryan Zimmerman. Go to MassonSports.com. It's Masson's Touch 'em All rewards. Check it out. Ryan 1 for 3 tonight, and hitting .333 his last 12 games. That's going to be a front door breaking ball that freezes him. Carpenter's second strikeout, 4 in a row. Nissan will track it.
And he just throws the slider in there. Doesn't do a whole lot except for the change of speeds. Fools Zimmerman for strike 3 looking.
Wilson Ramos 2 for 3, and then Adam LaRoche.
So I guess the question is, if you're the Braves, Ramos has hit 3 balls hard to right field. Do you go against the old adage and try him on the inner half here?
Well, you hate to do that late in the game, don't you?
Yeah.
He's got a good breaking ball going, showing everybody 97, and then dropping 85 on Zimmerman and Ramos here.
Because he's not afraid of the red seats.
Ramos now hitting over .320 in his last 21 games with 2 hits tonight. And the one out he made was a screamer right at Hayward. Ball 2. Well, who will Adam LaRoche be facing? .96 by Wilson Ramos, evening the count.
Yeah, gave it a go right there. Got it into a count, got a fastball, just missed it.
That one up a little bit. Ramos almost able to get to it at 95. That's a long way from home plate.
Strasburg, Harper having a snack.
Ramos could reach him. That ball hit hard the other way, but Hayward right there. He's had 4 good swings tonight. Here comes Freddie Gonzalez, and that answers our question about who will Adam LaRoche be facing. So David Carpenter, he might be the man of the night for the Braves. Nats had the lead run on second base with nobody out last inning. Carpenter comes in, gets 5 outs in a row. It'll be Avilan against LaRoche in a moment. Two for 3 is Adam LaRoche tonight, and he's hit a couple of home runs lately. Every time the Nats hit one, and that's happened 105 times this year. $250 to the Children's National Medical Center from Lexus, the pursuit of perfection. Luis Avilan, left-hander. 31 games for the Braves last year. This will be his 52nd appearance.
Yeah, 3-pitch guy, fastball, curveball, change. Fastball averaging 93 miles an hour.
Adam LaRoche is 0 for 4 career against him. And now 0 for 5. How many line drives can one team hit at the other team in one game? The answer, a lot. Have Ugla, BJ Upton, Angelton Simmons up. MLB.TV celebrating 11 years now. Catch the rest of this season HD quality with MLB.TV Premium. You can see every out-of-market game live on more than 350 mobile and connected devices. Visit MLB.com. Pardon me, .TV. So here's Ryan Matthews with his 19th appearance of the year.
Yeah, two-seam fastball. Slider split for Matthews. And Freddie Gonzalez before the game today said he was going to try to stay away from Craig Kimbrell tonight. He has saved the last 3 games, worked 3 days in a row. And if you look to the Braves bullpen, they have Jordan Walden up for the 9th inning. So they're going to stay away from Kimbrell tonight and go to Walden.
Kimbrell, 34 saves, leads the league, 3rd most in baseball, behind Jim Johnson of Baltimore, Mariano Rivera of the Yankees. Matthews, a good strike away to Dan Uggla. And he goes with his breaking ball and misses low. Dan Uggla 0 for 3 tonight against Steven Strasburg.
It's a good take by Uggla. That ball was a strike for a long time.
That's a heavy sinker that's hard to lay off.
That's just good course knowledge, basically. You face Ryan Matthews enough, you know that if anything starts on the inner half, looks like a strike, it's not going to end up a strike. When you have history against a ball club and you play them as much as these two do, Uggla knows if it starts in, it's not going to be a strike.
And Matthews walks the leadoff man, 9th inning.
Now here's the difference in the game so far. It's the Kia Drive of the Game, brought to you by Kia. Visit Kia.com to learn why Kia is one of the fastest growing car brands in America. A 3-2 changeup from Tyler Clippard. A 20th home run of the year for Justin Upton, and got out of here in a hurry. And he admired it.
Three for 4 night for his brother. He is 0 for 2 with a walk. And Zimmerman on the move as B.J. Upton made a move to square around and lay one down.
Well, it's interesting. B.J. Upton looked into the Braves dugout after that pitch before he got his sign. Almost like he wasn't thrilled about bunting.
Counts even, 1-1. And Matthews with that slide piece missing outside, 2-1.
Interesting to see if they keep the bunt on right here in 2-1 count. Long look down there by B.J. Upton. Freddie Gonzalez giving the signs to his third base coach.
Runner going, and a ball fouled. 2-2.
Well, somebody missed the sign right there. I mean, you don't steal when a guy's scoring around a sacrifice bunt. And I don't know if it was a hit and run at 2-1 count and Upton missed the sign, or if something was lost in the mix. Ugla had a great jump.
Nobody out, top of the ninth. B.J. Upton, career 1 for 2 against Ryan Matthews. Shortstop, number 8 hitter Andrelton Simmons on deck. That is close, 3-2.
And Matthews with a long look in to Rob Drake right there, and it wasn't down, I don't think. And pitch track shows that it wasn't. Important for Matthews to keep this game at 3-2, especially with Craig Kimbrell having the night off.
Runner going, broken bat grounder. Zimmerman can't cut it. Desmond in a race, and he'll tag out Dan Ugla, who saw the shortstop and third baseman vacate and thought he could get to third.
How heads up was that for me and Desmond? I mean, he knew that third base was vacated because Ryan Zimmerman went so far to his left. And he also knew, based on the broken bat, that he probably didn't have a real good shot at Upton. So for you kids at home, there's always an out there somewhere. If it's not at first, look somewhere else. And the arm fake by Ian Desmond was the difference. As soon as he pumped to first, Ugla put his head down, tried to go to third. Just a heads-up play by the Nationals shortstop. Nicely done.
Base hit for Upton, they rule. And then 6 unassisted with the tag on a very heads-up play by Ian Desmond. Simmons, the hitter.
I mean, how many times you get, even at the major league level, do you see a shortstop just kind of pick that ball up, take a few steps, put it in his pocket because it's an infield single? Desmond sold the fact that he was going to try to throw it to first with the arm fake, and that got Ugla. Never make the first out at third, or never make the first out in between second and third. I'll tell you what, if I'm Dan Ugla, I'm going there too. I bought that hook, line, and sinker.
Joey Turtislavich recently called up. Saw him in spring training with the Braves. He will be hitting in a moment for Luis Avilan, who came on, got that quick out on the line drive by LaRoche to end the 8th inning.
A little lean going right there for Upton.
Good fastball, 0-2. Ryan had that pitch up a bit, but it was in a very good location away from the right-hander. Simmons 0 for 1 career with a walk against Ryan Matthews.
For some reason, B.J. Upton is having a problem with something Ryan Matthews is doing, and I think he thinks he's balking. Kind of pointing to him right there in the middle of his lead, and he's trying to get Joe West's attention that wherever Matthews is coming set, he thinks it's a balk. Watch.
Ryan had him kind of leaning backwards a bit on that one. 1-2. Chopper to short. Desmond turns. Rendon will go ahead and relay it and almost threw that ball away. You can kind of tell by the way Ian Desmond shut it down there a little bit. He figured they're going to get one. Rendon tried it. 2 outs, runner at first.
That's one that the longer Anthony Rendon plays second base, he'll realize that's not a double play ball. And he can't fault the effort here, but based on the speed of the runner and the speed of the hit, there's no way you're going to turn 2 on that. Just kind of come across, stretch, and get the force out.
Joey Turtislavich, 24-year-old outfielder, switch hitter. 6th rounder 3 years ago, and he was hitting .318 at AAA Gwinnett with 18 home runs. When they called him up, he led the International League in hits with 102. Four for 13 with an RBI is a pretty good pinch hitter so far for the Braves. And that ball fading outside goes off the glove of Wilson Ramos.
Yeah, 90-foot mistake puts Upton or Simmons, in scoring position right here. The split from Ryan Matthews gets away from Ramos.
Called the pass ball. Change up, right side, great play, LaRoche to Matthews, saving a run, most probably. So it's 3-2, bottom of the ninth, with Rendon, Denard Span, and Scott Hairston, your due-ups.
But it's not over yet. Johnny Holiday and Ray Knight at the ballpark. We'll be back after Bob and FP wrap it up, hopefully with a win, Fox. One swing, and that's the difference in the game.
It certainly is, Johnny. Our ball club has taken a great approach to the plate tonight. There's been 5 balls hit rockets that they've been right at the Braves. The Braves have 8 hits, 6 of them coming from Upton and Freddie Freeman. So we talked about it in the pregame. You can't let Upton and Freeman get you tonight. They get you. They get a lot of folks, though. That's why we picked them, not to let them get them tonight. But Strasburg threw the ball great. One of his better ball games. Very solid ball game. Enjoyable game to watch. Hope that we can pull it out.
And Upton 3 for 4 night. But Bob and FP now back upstairs as we head to the bottom of the ninth. The Nationals trail by 1.
And they're facing a man who throws extremely hard. Jordan Walden, they got him last November from the Angels for right-handed starter Tommy Hanson. This guy can bring it, FP, and he's got good stuff.
He can. That fastball average is 95. He's got a slider and a change to go with it. But how big is that Braves relay play early in the game looming right now?
Yeah, kept the Nats from a crooked number in the first inning. Strasburg was brilliant. Who knows what might have happened after that? So it's Anthony Rendon. He's had a good night. 1 for 2 with a base hit, a sac fly. He has never faced Jordan Walden. who's making his 41st appearance with a 2.43 ERA. He has 34 major league saves. So this is nothing new for him. He saved 32 games for the Angels 2 years ago. He has kind of an odd pitching motion where his right foot comes flying off the rubber as he delivers the pitch.
Actually, he has both feet off the ground as he delivers the pitch. And I have no idea how you do that. Check it out. So, stride leg off the ground, back foot off the ground. I guess you'd call that jumping at a hitter. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah. Aren't you supposed to be on the pitching rubber when you throw the pitch? Technically, he's way out in front of it. It's crazy. Most guys really use that hole they dig in front of the pitching rubber to push off. He uses it to jump off. 2 balls, 1 strike to Rendon. Up the middle. Ugla off his body. Base hit all the way for Anthony. He's had some good ABs tonight, tying runs on base.
Boy, dangerous throw by Simmons right there. That was a base hit all the way, and he almost threw it away. Nice effort by Ugla. Good swing once again by Rendon, but watch the ball carry him to Simmons, and he thinks he has a chance, and Rendon's way past the back, and Freddie Freeman has an in-between hop to keep Anthony Rendon at first.
Yeah, from that angle, that ball could have easily gone into the photo bay at the end of the dugout. So here's Denard Span's first at bat of the night, and he's 2 for 4 career against Walden. Saw him some in the American League.
Probably bunting.
He does. Third base side, no throw to second, and then Yanish made Ugla cross into foul ground. That's a 5-4 on the sacrifice. Things happening quickly here, bottom of the 9th.
Golf clap from the fans for Denard Span. Nicely done. You watch Giannis right here. He's thinking about Rendon at second base. And I don't know that he would have had him. A little slip as he was fielding the ball. Had to regroup. Nice play by Ugla to catch. Watch a little slip right there. Took a divot. Regroup, get the out at first.
Scott Hairston, perfect night. 2 doubles around the walk. Facing Walden for the first time. Ball gets away on a slider, tying run to third base, 1 out.
That is a huge 90-foot mistake by the Braves, and the Nationals will take it. Watch the slider right here in the dirt. Gets to the screen, and there's nothing really... I was going to say there's nothing McCann could do about that, but he could have caught that.
Infield in.
Rally hats, there you go. Getting those last 3 outs, a different animal if you're not used to doing it. They're not going to check that?
Yeah, pretty good take by Hairston. He committed, stopped, and the Braves concede ball 2 without an appeal.
Yeah, they check that every single time. I mean, you never know, right?
Close enough.
Unless you check it, you never know. I don't know what Joe West is thinking down there.
2-0 pitch. Hairston pops it up right side. McCann near the screen makes the catch. It came down without touching any part of the screen. 2 outs. It'll be up to Chad Tracy.
Pretty good play right here by McCann. I mean, Hairston hits it right up the elevator chute. He finds the fence. The only question was this ball going to hit the screen? Huge out right there for the Braves.
Chad Tracy against Jordan Walden, 0 for 3 career. Chad this year has 8 pinch hits, 2 homers, 3 RBIs. Nats battling down to the final out here. Tracy left field. And Walden who saved 32 for the Angels 2 years ago, gets his first as an Atlanta Brave here. And the Braves have won 11 straight games. The Nats strand 7 runners in this one tonight and drop the first of this series. A big series for them, 3-2. Tomorrow night, Gio Gonzalez. And for the Atlanta Braves, Julio Teheran. This has been a Masson presentation. Johnny Holiday and Ray Knight. Nats Extra Postgame coming up in a moment from the ballpark and from a disappointed booth at Nationals Park. So long for just a while.